Yo, 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 guys, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Warriors Invitational. It's your boy Gotham with my boys Matt and Chuck. Boys, welcome back, man. Happy 2026. It's been a minute. Welcome, Chuckster, Matt. Good to see y'all, man. Let's before we get into the dubs, there's a lot to get in, but how we doing, guys? Welcome back.
Whew, man, it feels like as a lovely announcer Bob Fitzgerald would say, sometimes a return off the injured list is like a trade deadline acquisition. And we are back after a long injury layoff, coming back after the deadline, ready to pitch in down the stretch run. So I'm excited, man. We got a lot to get off our chests, so should be a fun one.
Um, Chuck, all true. I would say my thought just now was it dove into Ted Lasso if you guys have watched it, man. But he talks about the only thing worse than being miserable is being miserable alone. And so we're gonna be miserable for a long time here, guys. I don't know what's coming in the next few months or a few years, but um, I need you boys. So it's good to be back on.
Couldn't have said
Hmm.
it better than that, man. Yeah, dude, lots changed since we last spoke. We were just going through it right before we started November. So the Warriors, it was all happy times. They were probably I think they were going into that Milwaukee, Indiana time frame when they lost those two on the road. The season really started to get out of hand then, and I think we had a lot more positive outlook on the season back in November than we do today post deadline, but. Nevertheless, it's been a while, man. A lot of things have happened. Warriors obviously up and down season so far. Kind of capped off with that Jimmy Butler ACL. Obviously hate it for our guy Jimmy. That was a whole other thing. So that contributed to our long layover. But Chuck, sorry, I think you kind of said it, man. Trade deadline passed on was it Thursday? A lot of things going down, a lot of narratives. But before we get into everything like post deadline and everything, Matt, Chuck, man, give me your thoughts on just like where we've come to so far in the season, like what you've seen and kind of segueing into the trade deadline of okay, what do you expect from here on out? Like where are you trying to go, and then we'll get into everything.
So what I expected is I think we saw a lot of teams a lot of teams bought at this deadline looking to next year. We saw the Wizards do it, we saw the Jazz do it, we saw the Cavs do it to a lesser degree. Um, a lot of teams were kind of like making these moves, thinking about the future. The Pacers are a great example. And so that was more what I expected is I think like last year was fun. It was a lot of fun to see. Okay, we took down the Rockets again. Like we look dangerous. Like maybe this team can make some noise. Um, Once Jimmy goes down, like the season's over. No matter what you accomplish at this deadline, even if you go out and get Giannis, like you're not going anywhere this year because Steph is tired as hell and he's getting banged up. Even if you got Giannis, like Giannis is still on the sidelines, just doing Kalshi ads. So, like that was kind of my mentality. Is as unfortunate as it is, you've put yourself in this situation. You have to think about next year because the complete lack of like urgency combined with the Jimmy injury has totally fucked this season. Like this one's done. You got to prepare for next year. Um, there are some ways that I think they did that, and that'll be interesting to get into. But it's kind of hard to ignore the fact that like their one big buy of the deadline, well, their two moves were expire like getting an expiring deal, for a guy with a fucking wasting disease, and salary dumping Trace Jackson Davis, so they can open a roster spot for a buyout. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck, I'm most of the same, I would guess. But going into the deadline, yes, I understood that Jimmy Butler going down meant that. I mean, Steve Kerr's been saying, right? The ceiling's lower than it was, right? And I think that's totally accurate. But here's the fucking problem, in my opinion. In between, listen, I think Moses is playing great recently. He's been hitting. His defense has been off. And shout out to the guy for locking up dumbass Dylan Brooks on Thursday night to put the game away. But they had if you include pods, and Gotham would include pods, uh, between 40 and $45 million in movable salary, along with all their picks, right? So I think part of looking to next year at the deadline, I was hoping, I was not thinking, but I was hoping we'd see Jaren Jackson, Anthony Davis, even just do something. Obviously, the dream is Trey Murphy. I think in all of our souls, we know the Warriors aren't giving up 3 picks for a guy who's not a household name, even if he is um, maybe going to be eventually deserving of that status. Uh, but alas, didn't happen, right? And so, as far as what I thought was going to go down, I thought, I mean, by the end, I didn't really know. It seemed somewhat likely they kept Kuminga at one point, just given the fact that Joe Lacob might actually be sick and have a sick attachment to one of him or Giannis being on the Warriors. Uh, but I thought either something decent, a rotation player they could actually count on, whether that was um, who got traded to the DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter got traded to the Kings. Again, that's a top 120 NBA player to be clear. Like you're getting someone who's going to play and play somewhat consistently, and they didn't even really do that. Uh, I couldn't be more fucking disappointed. We'll see what happens. KP is expiring. Obviously, we're seeing everybody and their mom talk about how this guy, if healthy, if healthy, if healthy. Can you please go pay attention? This guy does not, he's not healthy. He's ill. He's got a condition. He's not healthy. It's not going to happen. So um, maybe between him, Horford, and Post, you get 48 minutes of, shooting on the floor every now and then, but um, it's not good. I was fucking pissed. And again, not with the end result in a vacuum, but just the cumulative Wiseman fuck up, the Poole fuck up, the Kuminga again, all these wasted picks and measures and missed off ramps. Couldn't believe it. So I guess cheers, boys, but it was not a good trade deadline, I wouldn't say. Also, shout out to Mark Spears for the last minute edging of the Warriors aren't done yet, when indeed the Warriors were
Yeah,
done.
there's like 30 minutes left in the deadline. Like there's no way that anything was going down. I'm with both of you guys to an extent. Like the season wise, like yeah, once Jimmy went down, it just sucked because of the timing of everything. Like it felt like the Warriors were like turning a corner. I think they were 27 and 19 or getting close to there. Like there were 6 or 7 games above 500. Entering a stretch, that home stretch was, I think they lost one game up to that point. So they were really going into it. It felt like, with the deadline around the corner, the way Steph, Jimmy were playing, like they were racking up wins. They were like, I think 2 games out of the 4 seed at one point. So like they were very much in the hunt. And so that ACL injury just really was, outside of like maybe the Clay injury, and like the Achilles and the ACL, but like the Achilles like news that you got when I got that notification for Jimmy's ACL, it was like, damn, this season is a wrap. And
Well, it was also just like it's that's their second best player
yeah, no,
this
and like, look,
year,
man,
and
like
it's
we knew like this season and anything left of this run is if Steph or Jimmy went down at any point in time, even if it wasn't a season ender, like if Jimmy was coming back in 6 weeks from now, season was probably over. The fact that now it's an ACL, you're 12 months away from Jimmy coming back to actually contributing. It not only ruined this year, but Jimmy, it ruined a lot of next year. So I think in that sense, I wanted to see in the trade deadline. I was kind of either way about Giannis. Like you get a Giannis if you can, but I hated just again, Matt, to your point, like just how incompetent this front office looks, and Lacob, to be honest, and you just saw all the front running and talking, and I honestly didn't even, you kind of just took it. For face value when it came out back in 2022, 23, like we were always talking about like why are you not going in, like make a move the kids, but like this trade deadline really like everything came to a boiling point of like we've fans have been saying this, like people around the team have been saying this. It sounds like the leadership of the core dynasty group and Steve and like the coaching staff, they've been kind of saying this as well. Like we wanted to maximize this chance, and now you kind of missed on both. The dynasty is pretty much over, and that Jimmy ACL would very well might be the final nail in the coffin. We'll see after obviously it's all said and done. But you also messed up the future. Like you haven't you missed on all your picks. You missed on all the young guys. with Kuminga going, your two out of your three kind of second timeline dudes aren't here. And Moses Moody, like to your point, Matt, he's been playing well, but he's an eighth, he's an eighth man. He's a seventh, eighth man. Like if he's not a lottery pick that panned out to be that core guy for the next run. So you whiffed on everything. So going into the deadline, I was expecting nothing. I thought Kuminga would come back. I thought that they would maybe just like, Trace Jackson Davis type of move, get a pick, like get rid of one roster spot. But again, like with all the assets they had on their hand, I can't really say I maybe not blame them because that's the cards you were dealt, but I don't blame them for not making a swing at the deadline, especially with Jimmy out now. Like you are going into the offseason. And so I picking up a guy like Porzingis is I liked it in the sense of like you got off Kuminga, buddy, yeah, it sucks to see from a vibe standpoint, but like he was also just riding the bench. So that's, 30 something million or whatever you got back. And it's expiring. So you can always get him back at a discount if it works out next year, or whatever the remaining 30 games. If you like what you see, you can probably get Porzingis back on a bargain deal. Have a little bit more flexibility to go after maybe another guy.
Or
But
the big thing, re-sign Melton. Actually, that's a big
yeah,
move for you this
re-sign
year,
Melton. Like,
Wallace.
that's a huge off-season point as well. So like I think I like the, for lack of a better word, and I hate that I'm saying it, but like the optionality they have going into the off-season with the Porzingis. And I'm excited. I mean, look, if I theoretically like if he's able to play like 20, 25 minutes a night, he's the perfect kind of second or third guy to a Steph and Jimmy team. With the size, the shooting, like he can play from the high post. He's just not available. Rick Celebrini, if you can work your magic, but I don't hate the move, and I was not as disappointed as maybe other people were coming out of that deadline once the emotions kind of settled, and it was more so the anger to the lake up in the front office.
I
So
want
the thing, oh, just real quick, Matt. So the thing that kind of like you hit on is, yeah, they do have options. Um, the financial implications of this are like now that they've moved off salary for next year, they have a really easy path to being under the first apron. So like you got the MLE back, which is going to be huge because like Melton's going to decline that option. He's obviously a great fit. Would love to have it back. It allows you to take back more salary in trades. Awesome. Like it does open up, but this is what's really pissing me off is like if they have the option between just like running it back and drafting more guys or like being aggressive, I know what they're going to pick. Like that is what's so frustrating is it's not like oh okay, like the moves we made didn't work out, so let's reset a little bit and open up some pathways for more stuff. They're not fucking doing anything like that's what's really frustrating at the core is that they're just letting this happen and they're still rocking with all the young guys. And like, I know it gets a little convoluted when people say, like, oh, here's the results of like the two timelines, but it is as simple as like Wiseman, you drafted, didn't turn into anything. All you got for him was getting GP2 back after you let him walk. Kuminga never really gave them good minutes, and all you got for him was like, the 12 games Porzingis is going to play down the stretch. Pods is driving everyone insane. And like he's still a decent player, but like, it's just in the context of everything that's happening, like no one's really happy with this. Moody's the only guy like doing anything, but if all you have to show for years of hoarding draft picks and continuing to make these selections.
Prioritizing over Steph Curry, like let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're like we all know what Lakeup's about. Like I think he's made it very clear that the priority, and we're gonna get more into Lakeup later, but like he's made it clear that the priority is like building the team for after Steph leaves, and they can't do it. Like they're just not good at doing that. So I just don't know if there's any point where they just like sit down and get real with themselves and they're like, hey, we can't draft. Like and if they still want to build for the future, and it's like, okay, we're bad at drafting, maybe let's go get a guy like Trey Murphy, who's not like, Jimmy level impact, but it's like the guy's 25, he's under contract for a few more years. Like he's gonna be around when Steph's gone if we play our cards right. So like that is what bothers me too, is you can make moves that prepare for a post Steph future that still help Steph. But like continuing to draft over and over again, like not making these aggressive moves to try to go help him. When you look at like all the other teams out there, shit, at least the Lakers were like, all right, let's go get like Luke Kennard, like maybe some shooting fixes this. Or like, the other teams that are like up against it with like older stars, like I mean, the Cavs are younger, but at least the Cavs are just like, all right, this isn't working. Like, let's go change things. And that's the part that bothers me is coming back to like the optionality is like I need you guys to show me that you understand like the seriousness of this situation that like Steph is you can only like bend him so much until he breaks and he's like all right, I'm done with this. Like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, I want to go win a fifth ring. And like, if you are not going to be serious about it, then I'm going to have to go do it elsewhere. And that's the thing that bothers me is it's another huge fuck you to the best player in the history of the franchise, the best player we
Bar
will
none.
ever see, the best player we'll ever see in a Warriors jersey in all of our lifetimes. And over and
Amen.
over again, they're just going like this.
Well, it's nuts, Chuck, on a few, but yes, all of that.
Knock
Look
that
at
out of the
Gotham.
park.
I always want to add, it's not just the best player. And then I'm going to use the word magical. We have the most magical player maybe in the history of the league. Like there's nothing like watching Steph. There's just not, and there's never going to be. And they've squandered it. And I almost want to push back. I said it earlier, and I might have agreed, and I've gone back and forth on this, but I think, listen, I said 43 million. If you include Draymond, they had $68 million they could have moved. And I'm sorry, every year with stats gotta be go for it. We've seen this guy in the playoffs. They always talk about a puncher's chance, right? Uh, they had so much money to move. They had so much money to move to get better. Whether that was again Trey Murphy at 25 million, getting a big in Gafford at like 14 million, whoever it is, just get better players. Get better players at basketball. And Chuck, to add to something you said earlier regarding like preparing for the future while also helping right now. I don't know who the fucking mathematician is that like whispers to Joe Lacob in his sleep, but what is going on where these guys don't realize you can trade players later? What's the deal with not realizing like, hey, we have a guy in Trey Murphy. We could have a guy in Trey Murphy or that ilk of player, right? Who 3 years from now, 4 years from now, Steph will probably be retired, although I'm not sure. He's not necessarily slowing down. He looks fucking amazing. But 4 years from now, guess what? That guy's in his prime. He's a 50, 40, 90 player who's averaging 25 points a game. You don't think some contender will pay 3 to 4 draft picks in 3 to 4 years for a guy like Trey Murphy? I'm sorry. Look ahead. Look ahead. You guys. It's like I actually truly think this. They are almost objectively the worst front office in the league at this point. I don't think it's crazy to say
I don't think
they
it's
don't manage
close at this
assets
point.
well. Uh, the Wizards just got Trey Young and Anthony Davis for like zero, essentially zero first round picks, and they still have their lottery pick in the most loaded draft. And I don't know how long, Chuck, you would know better than me, but it's like truly a marvelous accomplishment. And some people might push back and say, "Well, Mike Dunleavy can draft a little bit. He picked pause at 19, or he's good at picking the second round." That's true. Dunleavy's got a good eye for like late round talent. I think that's fine. The Warriors have gotten rotation players in some capacity every time he's drafted. It doesn't fucking matter. You guys missed the big ones, and we haven't seen you draft in the lottery, like you said, Chuck. We've talked about, and it'll come up later, the possibility of them tanking this year. They could fuck up the number one pick in this draft. I have no doubt that they could fuck this up. They might pull some eligibility bullshit, put Kuminga back in the draft and draft him at one. I don't know what the fuck they do, but something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm out on this front office. I can't believe it. Chuck, I agree with all the optionality aspects. Although it's a word I'm like very tired of hearing because we know what it means. The fact that we're still getting Tim Kawakami reports of potentially chasing Giannis in 4 months makes
That
me
was the one that pissed me
want
off the most, dude. Like, how are you still like he legitimately just bitch slapped you so many different times, and you're still coming in to say we want this guy? Like, have a little bit of shame, man. Like that again, it goes back to the whole Lacob like disrespect thing, like to Steph. Like Giannis is the same age that you were ready to move off of Steph was in 2019. And Steph has been by far more durable than Giannis has up to this point. Like obviously the ankle is initially, but after that, like Steph's been a pretty fucking healthy player. Like he's had a few like crazy like freak injuries that or the hamstring or whatever. But back to that point, like it's like that's also what I like about having the freedom in the off season though, is because I think this may finally be the what kind of gets Lake up to see like, yo, I've lost control of fans and I'm about to lose. Like, I hope that's my hope. Like going into the summer is that we have like I have not seen so many like not like a more coordinated like dub nation of like fuck Joe Lacob
Well,
and
it's also the thing that it finally is getting to his like state-sponsored media. Monty
yeah, like
Poole is
even
writing
like
some hit pieces.
yeah, dude, like even the media I'm saying like
Yeah.
we had not like it was always like Kawakami, Monty Poole, all those guys like would have like after every deadline or something was hey like this is the plan for the future blah blah like this is how the worth the third. We got nothing this time. It was these guys have no idea what the fuck they're doing, which is what his Lacob's been doing. So, and Matt, to your point, like, yeah, Mike Dunleavy can draft, but I doubt Joe Lacob was, in that room when they were picking number 53 or whatever to draft Will Richard. If they're picking in the lottery, like he's in there again. So,
Joe Lacob's big board goes as high as five guys, man, and
yeah,
that's
and
about it. I'll say.
it's you gotta if they gotta wear a suit and speak Chinese to like get in the door with Joe. Like that those like but that's my thing. Like I hope that this offseason, because you're pushing all the chips into 2027 now. Like you gotta get another guy in here. It's probably not Porzingis, but you gotta go and prepare for the first half of that year next season and then for when Jimmy comes back. So you kind of have to survive two different seasons next year, and it's your last chance because the books clean up. Everything opens up from 2027. I hope and pray that Steph Curry's still on his team after then. But to your point, Chuck, I think if they don't do anything for next season as well, Steph's like, yo, I'm getting the fuck out of here because
Well, and I want to circle back too to like I agree with what you said, Gotham, because I think it's hard to like, and I love the point you made about the draft picks too. Like Matt, when you say this is the worst front office in the league, I agree with you because you can't separate Lacob from the
with
front
the other guys,
office.
He is
Like,
part of the front office. He has to be
he
considered
yes,
that
is the
way
front
because he
office.
says he
yeah,
is. Yes.
like I truly believe that if Mike Dunleavy was just operating with a normal owner in terms of like hands-onness, he'd be good at this.
Yeah,
Like we
I
saw
agree.
like we saw he did well last year where he's like, okay, this isn't working. Let's go get Schroeder. Okay, Schroeder's not working. We're gonna flip him in the Jimmy deal right away. Like we're so pissed off at them. Like you never really hear just like, hey, we got Jimmy who's like a top 20, 25 like impact player for a first round pick and like a bunch of role players. And I love Wiggs, but like the cost for what it took to get him was crazy. So when he's able to go in and convince Lacob, hey, let me do my thing, like he makes good deals. It's just
Yeah.
that
Chuck, we're gonna
it,
see Mike Dunleavy crucified outside of Chase Center the day that request goes in. Just a heads up.
no, I know. And like I get it, like we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe you got to be like just walk in and be like, "Look, man, let me do my fucking job or just fire me right now." Like, it kind of feels like he's playing a little scared because he knows that Lacob is directing everything, but like you said, Gotham, like when Lacob walks in and submits a big board to a room that includes two of his sons, and he's just like, this is the guy, like, what are you gonna do? Be like, no, go fuck yourself. Like, we're gonna draft LaMelo Ball, or we're gonna draft Tyrese Halliburton, or we're gonna trade out of this pick. Like, I get it, you're running scared, he signs your checks, sure. But then, like it's not I don't think Joe Lacob's going in there and being like, I don't know. Will Richard really showed me some things. Like I like his defense, like he's not doing that. Like he's looking at like Tankathon and he's watching like 5-minute YouTube videos of like James
Balls
Wiseman,
life highlights.
yeah, he's watching like an EYBL highlight
Yeah.
video of James Wiseman. He's like, "Oh, this guy's sick. Like we should get him." And then once he like leaves the room, they're like, "All right, cool. So we can do our jobs. Let's get Quentin Post. Let's get Will Richard." Like they're getting like impact guys later on, um, which is the part that makes me feel insane. But like, I get it's really hard for fans to like separate Dunleavy from all the bullshit that's going on. But like we saw the playbook play out going into this deadline. Like Jaren Jackson gets traded and immediately the story comes out. It's like, "Oh, we were like talking about it." And I'm like, "You guys have done this for like four straight deadlines when like some big guy gets traded and then immediately like Tim Kawakami, like a good little boy, just like runs in and types like, "Oh, they were interested," and I'm just like, "What? Like, why do you think we're falling for this?" I was like, "There's just no way you're getting this past us."
Well,
Um,
also to that point though, it's like I'm not thinking to myself, good job in having the conversation. I'm like, you guys just
Yeah,
got
go get the
absolutely
job
cucked by
done.
Giannis for this third year in a row, man.
yeah, like if you're, I don't care that you're the bridesmaid. Like, that doesn't like this isn't like a like you don't get any prize for finishing second in the trade discussions. Like,
Yeah, like I don't know
got
what those like. What is you? Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you trying to get at? Like, what do you gain? Like, nothing.
it's like, when the Giants finished runners up for Arson Judge and for Shohei, no one was like, well, good job. They were in the discussion.
Yeah, you
Like
didn't get any of
everyone
the
was
you didn't
just,
get any home runs or anything like that from those guys because you came second. Like, you're not getting like a pick because you came second in the negotiations.
yeah, and like this is what's bothering me is like it's so transparent what they're doing. Like they are not trying and then putting out all of these stories to be like, hey, we're trying. Or like, the Giannis thing. There were reports that came out, Mark Stein, Jake Fisher, they said all the executives who were talking to the Bucks about Giannis were just like, yeah, it was like frustratingly clear that they were not like serious about moving him. And so this is what bothers me is I got to imagine like Mike Dunleavy's just sitting there like having to make these calls and having to call a team that is like not serious about making this move, but because Lacob is just like obsessed with Giannis and has been obsessed with him for like the past 3 years, he's just being forced to like do these negotiations that are going somewhere while good, useful players are being moved elsewhere. Like that's got to drive you insane.
Can we also just talk about on that note, Chuck? Like, I'm again, I had moments of optimism for the honest thing. I'm gonna be frank, and there's good reasoning for it at times, but he wasn't gonna come, man, and it made total sense to think he wasn't gonna come. Also, given the fact that like if and there was any mention of Golden State in reports outside of being at the front of the line because of their assets, it was also because Giannis was like, that sounds kind of sketchy because their best player is 38. Their owner like has a fucking pocket mirror dangling in front of his eyes everywhere he walks. Uh, and they can't draft. So there was never I just can't believe it was never gonna happen. And the fact that everyone knew it except for sleep, Light Years Joe is insane. I'm like imagining Mike Dunleavy feeling like a guy who's like best friend's kind of a dork. He's like, hey, call this girl and ask if she wants to go out with me. And he's like, man, I don't think she wants to go out with you. And then Joe is just like, please, please call her. I think she wants to go. Like she smiled at me. And then if I was Giannis, I'd be like slightly scared for my life around Joe Lacob, man. It wouldn't be like I would not be going to Chase Center or anywhere near the court without security. But that's neither here nor there. I'm glad this saga is over. For anybody who doesn't get this, I would encourage them just to realize that Warriors fans were actively rooting for Giannis to be traded somewhere else before the deadline because they knew that not happening meant the Warriors were going to continue to be stupid until they have a chance to fuck up again. Chuck put it the most aptly I've heard that Giannis might be the only thing that can unstupid Joe, which is the funniest text I've read in this last these 2 weeks. Um,
It's true. It's true, man. It's like, when Ahab finally catches the whale, like he's just like, oh man, I was acting fucking insane trying to catch that whale, like, and like either you catch it or it gets away from you. But like that's the most frustrating part is like the whale's still out there, so he's still gonna be batshit for the next like 4 months trying to get it.
Man, I hope not. Like, come on, man. Let's have some shame. Well, now that the deadline's kind of settled, like now we know what the team's gonna look like for the next 30, whatever, 31 games are left, 30 games. Um, and the roster pretty much finalized. Will Lonzo Ball, maybe they might have some buyout market stuff, but for the most part, like this is the squad going in and out. Like, what's your expectation for the rest of this season? Like, what does this team have any sort of ceiling that you're looking for them to hit this year, or like what is the expectation going into I guess this insanely big offseason this summer.
Oh, I mean, as far as ceiling goes, you have to I mean, when you look at the current West picture, uh, right now, I think the good thing for the Warriors is that the teams beneath them are just like taking themselves out of the running. Um, Portland, Portland has good players, they just don't have the depth to like survive a regular season, and um the Grizzlies obviously like tanking their way out of things. The Clippers have pissed off Kawhi Leonard and traded away the guy who keeps their offense alive and the guy who keeps their defense alive. So like I think the good news is that the Warriors, like barring total catastrophe, are like locked into their floor at the 8 seed. Um, which makes you feel good that like they'll get into the playoffs. But the ceiling is like I don't think they're going to climb out of the play-in. I just think like Steph's in injury management mode. Porzingis is going to have to be managed. Draymond, you're going to have to manage a bit down the stretch. So then you're kind of just jockeying for position, like hoping you can get the 7 seed, win that game. And the good news for them is that it's kind of lining up to where it was last year, where it's you're heading against a young team that's way ahead of schedule, like last year's Rockets, this year's Spurs. Granted, I think the Spurs are like a lot more serious as a contender than the Rockets were last year, but you kind of got to hope that you can just like out veteran them, be like, we've been here before, a lot of you haven't. So I mean, frankly, I think their ceiling is that they just like maybe they luck into a playoff series win in the right matchup before you go up against the Nuggets and the Thunder, who I think are infinitely more serious teams. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like I get what people are saying about like, the stealth tank of it all, and like if the ceiling's gone, you might as well tank, but like with all the teams behind them just kind of like bowing out of the race, I don't really see how you get there. I mean, if you like lose in the play in, then sure you're in the lottery, but like, that's that I don't think is an outcome that they can chase, because now we're in this frustrating position where the team is not good enough to like make a serious playoff run. But they're not nearly bad enough to just like be like, you know what, let's roll some lottery balls and maybe there's like a 5% chance we get a franchise saving player. Um, so yeah, I think it's a pretty firm ceiling on like if they get the right matchup, maybe they win a series like last year.
I think I mostly agree with the ceiling aspect. They're a second round out team, probably at best, barring like significant injuries to the best players in the league, which that's probably not happening, right? And even then, like I'm not. We're gonna get to this later, I think, but this is the most offensively inept team in basketball, I think, as far as individual players go. Like they create good looks, I'm well aware, right? They have a great process. The Warriors' offense is a great process. The results are shit. That's just the way it is. Their players aren't very talented in that end of the floor. Um, but as far as the floor goes, I don't know, Chuck. I mean, I I had the great fortune. I mean that actually. I watched the Warriors Suns game the other night in person. It was a great vibe. Shouts to Melton and Moody and Pat Spencer. Um, this team is there. If Steph's knee thing lingers a little longer and they sink a little closer to or below 500, um, TBD. Because if he misses any more time significantly, this team does not have the horses to win games. They just don't. I mean that against even the worst of teams. I don't think they're going to be uh, favored in any game this year without Steph. And there's a good chance that if they're, what are they right now? 28 and or 27 and
28 and
26,
24.
28, 24. If they're 28 and 29, 29 and 30 in the next 2 weeks, Steph goes down again for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, I am not kidding, they might not win another fucking game. And maybe it's shutting down Melton at that point. Maybe it's shutting down Draymond at that point. you look at the lottery odds, you see what happens every single year. Someone jumps up, you're Joe Lacob, you do whatever drugs you do before that, and you hope for the best. Um, I think their floor is tremendously low. I think it'd be hard to sink lower than like 10, just to your point, right? Low end playing team. But I don't think it's all out of the question. They go to below that. Not likely, but I think this team
It,
is really bad and they are really, really desperate for talent.
I do want to just to clarify on that too, like if Steph is out for an extended period of time, like they'll pretty much be the worst team, like the worst team in the playoff picture by far for like the rest of the year and definitely drop below. Like if they just have like a normal amount of banged up games from the old guys down the stretch, like they're 3.5 games ahead of the Clippers, they're 4 games ahead of the Blazers. Like unless it's like, okay, Steph has like another knee thing going on and he's out for a month. I don't see them that like I agree with you that like the floor is all the way down if Steph really gets hurt. But yeah, once again, it's all about is Wardell in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean that's the ceiling of the team. Like it's how far can Steph, how much can Steph play? Regardless, yeah, the best case scenario is they win a first round series. Don't see that happening. I don't see them coming out of the plane, to be completely honest with you. Like they're gonna be the eighth seed. They're gonna have to win one of those two games. I can see them losing both and like just kind of bowing out. Similar to that, I know they were the ninth seed or whatever that play-in year with Clay and Draymond, but or Clay's last year. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be shocked. I really want to see. I would sit Steph out till the All-Star break at this point. Like there's only like 3 or 4 games till then. You're gonna be like 500 around going in, and then if you can come back and make a push by the end, see where you land up the rest of at the end of February. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I think this is a draft that if you the fact that you kept your 2026 pick, you might as well see like if you're not going to be a serious like playoff team, which this team is not going to be, like there's no point when you are pushing the chips in for 2027. Get a we saw what Steph could do with that extended time after going into the pandemic and everything like that. We got 2021 Steph coming out, so you are trying to preserve this. This is now like a 2 year kind of win or 1.5 season window that you're playing for next year. So I'm fine with this team bowing out. Bar if Steph like needs to be managed, which he will. I do want to see Porzingis. I do hope we get him for a decent amount of games. I'm sure he's not going to play the all 30, but if we can get him for Matt, I think you said like 15 games, 15, 20 games. See if it's worth, because it's going to definitely play into the calculus of the offseason. So that's kind of the only thing I'm really watching for at this point. I'm excited to just kind of be over the Kuminga kind of chatter. Like the two timelines plan is fully dead now. Like let's see what this team got and let's see what you need this summer to make one last run at it.
So what does the summer look like at this point? Are they going all in and saying let's actually like do something with these picks? If you're the Warriors, to be fair, I don't think any of us, if we had to put our money down, would say they're doing that. But what do you guys think?
What I hope
What
happens
are
or
they
what I
doing come
want.
summertime?
Like ideally, I'm going best case scenario. Like ideally, they can either retain Porzingis in some fashion, like and he's healthy as like a backup, kind of super big. But you bring back Melton, and really use one of those picks, man. Trey Murphy, Michael Porter Jr., all the guys that we've talked about this year so far, like guys that you can spend a couple picks on to go get that, like you said, can flip down the line. Like I hope they get creative and not be incompetent. Like. That's really as simple as I can put it. Like
I hope
use
they
the
get
picks.
creative and not be
You're willing to
incompetent.
spend
Gotham's
six.
wishes for the Warriors.
Yeah, like you're willing to spend 7 picks on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like fair enough, it's Giannis, but it's a 32-year-old superstar going into next year. Like be serious here. Like let's go get a 25, 26-year-old that's kind of under the radar. If you have to spend on you know like a Michael Porter Jr. or Trey Murphy, or if you get creative out of there. Like I don't know who's going to be available this summer, but nobody goes into free agency anymore in the NBA. Like you have to get guys through the trade, the trade market. So you have assets, use them. It's for one season. If everything's really cooked after 2027, you can still protect yourself and go all in for 1 year with all the assets you have. Have the conversation about Draymond. I think that's something we'll definitely get into more and more as the season kind of teeters down. But like you said, Matt, they have a lot of money that they can still move, whether that's Jimmy, whether that's Draymond, whether that's whoever. So, and you have the pick. So that's my hope for the offseason is, you know, find a way to go all in for 2027 and don't half-ass it like you've done it the last 7 years.
Yep. And I think, you touched on like we've talked about this earlier, like finding those guys who are bridge players that help you win now. But aren't gonna, like Matt, I think, you hit the nail on the head with a guy like Trey Murphy, where you trade for him now and he's useful through the end of the Steph window, and then you reevaluate from there. Like, I think those are the kind of guys that they need to be chasing pretty heavily, because you can't, like, this is the part about this team that's really frustrating is like they've somehow like I wanted Kuminga gone more than anyone. Like it's just the vibes out in public and behind the scenes were clearly irreparable. Like the relationship was bad. Um, they've somehow found another way to become less athletic, which is honestly just kind of impressive. Like, I think I don't think there is a team in the NBA that is less athletic than the Warriors, and that combines size, run and jump skill, like more functional athleticism, just like can you move fast while dribbling? Like that's a test that most of these guys can't pass.
But
Um
they just have
It's
they just have shitty players, Chuck. You could be nice about it.
I mean
well,
like they have guys who like Pod, like as much as we have given Pods shit, like Pods does other things from like a skill perspective that you're like, oh, okay, like you're not like an above the rim finishing guy, but like you do other stuff that like makes you valuable. Like that's so much of their roster is just guys who are like making up for their lack of size and athleticism by doing other stuff. And so like I just think we've seen with Draymond, like Draymond's lost a lot of his athletic juice. Steph is still, he's still Steph, like he's still crazy side to side athlete, but like he's not playing above the rim. Um, Quentin Post, like even their young guys, like Quentin Post is just like spacing the floor and like grabbing some boards, but you're not gonna like, chuck up a lob to Post out of the pick and roll. Um, like you just have to prioritize that functional athleticism. And a guy like Trey Murphy who can go, drive downhill and like attack the rim with two hands while also being able to like, hit step back threes, movement threes, like this is just like I think that's the key for this offseason is you got to go pursue guys who are young and athletic. And yeah, they're going to cost a premium, but like a premium is just what you have to pay now. They have the draft capital to pay a premium for anybody, which is so key. And like, if the lottery like hits your way, sure. Like, if you like luck into like the top four and it's like, okay, let's go get like Caleb Wilson or let's go get one of these like crazy athletic guards that's in these draft. Sure, but then you got to use the other resources to go get more athletic because the team ethos can't just be like old dudes who have lost a step and then like younger guys who are like either undersized or not athletic enough to reach the margins of these other NBA teams.
yeah, I don't have anything to add. I think it's nuts that their two best, just like point blank athletes right now are the guy with chronic back problems and D'Anthony Melton, who just looks fucking amazing right now, first of all. And yeah, I mean this totally respectfully, but Pat Spencer. Like I'm just talking about like you can get downhill, you can get to the rack, you can get in the paint, you can make a play because you have a good first step. Uh, two guys. And it's, again, Steph's always in that category. It kind of goes without saying, right? That's mostly brains, right, and training and whatnot. But yeah, I don't have anything to add there, Chuck. I can't believe this is where we've landed.
Yeah, and it is like, you know, I know that it's hard to find very specific fits. Like we saw with like Kaminga is the best example. Like the dude's crazy athletic. He's rapidly developing as like a ball handler, as a shooter. But if you're not cut out for like the Kerr offense and defensive schemes, like you just no matter how much improvement you have, you just can't fit a square peg in a round hole. But like there are guys out there who are gonna get it. Like there are guys out there who are crazy athletes who have good size and will understand how to work in this system. And like
Jimmy
you got,
Butler.
yeah, like you got Jimmy, like we saw Wiggs was the kind of bet that they took. He's a ridiculous athlete. They got him to buy in, they got him to fit. And like this really feels like for the 100th time, like the inflection point. It's like you just gotta shit or get off the pot. Like if you don't find a way to get younger and more athletic this offseason, then like when's it gonna happen? Because they just haven't shown that that's a priority. And when you watch these other teams, like even watching the Suns the other night, I'm watching like Oso Ighodaro move around, and I'm watching Ryan Dunn and Jamare Booyah. I think that's how you say it. Booyah. I forget. But it's just like all these other teams are just going out and like getting athletes, and then you're just watching them like run past us and jump over us, and it's like I think we're way past the tipping point where this is like a team changing problem.
Yeah, it's again, I can't say enough, just especially being at that game. There's one and a half NBA athletes. It's Milton, it's Spencer, and that was it. Um, Guys, we're kind of nearing we're near the end here, pod wise, and we're also nearing the end existentially. Um, we've been close for longer than we realized. And I was thinking today, like, listen, we've all like, Gotham, you brought this up earlier. I think Chuck keep hitting at it too, but like the Joe Lacob God complex is not new. It's not new at all. I think knowing for certain that it's actually explicitly been the downfall of what could have been a really tremendous era of Warriors basketball. That's what I want to get into. When looking back, do you guys feel like, 'cause I know my moment, but when do you guys feel like we probably should have known this shit was fucked because Joe Lacob thinks his shit doesn't stink?
I would say I think the official end was like the after the ring 2022 and not moving off of the young guys then. But I think from the Wiseman pick, it was already like, yo, like what's going down? Because they had all of the chances that offseason. And I think Bob Myers was a smart guy. I would believe that he would have wanted to move those picks or listen to Steve Kerr or some form or the other. Like after everything that's come out of how that 2020 2021 draft like evaluation process went down, to us should have signaled like this dude is gonna take it. His ego complex is legit, and he thinks that he is more valuable to this dynasty than Steph Curry was. And I don't know if Joe Lacob may be the only person in the world that believes that this dynasty happens not because of Steph, but because of Joe Lacob. Joe Lacob has been an integral part of this as an owner. He's been a fantastic owner of like investing in the team, hiring guys, Jerry West, Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, to get this dynasty off the ground and get the
Gone,
guys that
gone, and maybe gone.
and the one guy that felt like he had to, take control of this whole thing was Joe Lacob. And I know you guys, Matt. I know you're a success. I know we're both everybody's a Succession fan here. Logan Roy has this thing where he says to his kids, I love you guys, but you're not fucking serious people. Joe Lacob is just not a serious person. He's not a serious basketball evaluator. He's not a serious basketball decision maker. He's a great owner. He's done everything he can. I mean, you can debate that. He's invested in the team to at least build us up to become a dynasty, so I respect him for that. But there's nuance when it comes to that conversation, and a good owner also knows when to delegate. And you have been blessed with Stephen Curry, who is top five, top 10 player of all time, greatest warrior that will ever live, greatest player most of us will ever see in our lifetimes. Um, the fact that he's just so nice about this whole thing so far, and you're just taking it and running with it, because for whatever ego complex reason is there. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. So I'd say the draft time, but officially, like you had to move off of those dudes after Steph gave you the middle finger and won another championship. And then I think it was Warriors World that like posted that article of Joe just like yanking it to the two timeline plan, man. Like these guys were just like, what are we doing here, man? Like this is not like we all watched what happened, and that's just not what happened. So, yeah, that 2023 summer. I mean, the punch happened, the whole thing. Like there's a lot of things that went down that summer that, caused kind of the end of the dynasty, but. Lake up not moving off of Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, even after you'd seen a little bit of where they were at, because like Wiseman's value was not high, but it was up there that offseason. Like it was coming off that injury, like it was kind of the question mark. Kuminga had shown he was an athlete. Moody was whatever. So you had the ability to make moves then and get some talent in here.
Who who would Logan Roy be in this scenario? Because in my head, it might be Bob Myers
Yeah,
speaking to Joe on his way out.
I was thinking, yeah, Bob Myers, just because, yeah, he left and Logan died before the show ended. So,
Spoiler
um,
alert. Jesus Christ, man. What are you
well,
doing?
sorry about that, guys. If you haven't seen Succession, go check it out.
It's
Yeah.
Mike
So-
If
Mike
you haven't
Dunleavy.
watched it,
He's just crying, being like, "Is he in there? Is Bob in there?
yeah,
Can we get him out?"
Bob is Bob is
God,
Roman Roy, or sorry, Mike is
that
Roman Roy's
that was
dad.
that was one of the best. Like Logan's death episode was that was a very good episode.
Gotham's 10
You
toes down
know,
in the spoilers right now, man.
Yeah,
It's just
you know it. It's funny you said that because I had another comparison, which funny enough is also just a piece of media about the rise and fall of business. Um, with the full powers of hindsight, I think the moment we should have known that something was up was the light years moment. Like when we reached that peak and Joe Lacob is talking about how they're not a basketball team, they are a media and tech company, and he's talking about how they're light years ahead of everyone. We should have had some indication. And like, granted, we were way too high on Steph and KD and championships
we were
to
light years ahead
notice.
of everybody at that point.
We were,
no.
yeah, like
I
we
also
Drinking the
again
Kool-Aid.
they again I have an issue with all this still. I think Steph was light years above everybody else. KD was light years ahead. They were the beneficiaries of a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous cap spike. And that's it.
Yeah,
That is the story of that era. And it's awesome. And again, having the infrastructure to attract a player like that, awesome. That's where we can say Joe had his best era was the Gotham you got at it. Jerry West, Travis Schlenk, Bob Myers era.
mm.
That's the light years ahead. But again, by the time that's happening, I think Joe had he had his grayscale. He was descending into madness, man. It wasn't looking good.
So
great
and
reference.
so for me, like that was at the peak of your powers, they were flexing. And at the same time, they were picking a direction that was so fucking stupid and they were going the complete wrong way. And so the comparison that comes to mind for me is actually around the time when Joe Lacob bought this team in 2010. BlackBerry had 40 to 50% of the smartphone market share. Do you want to know what that number is now? Fucking zero. And you know why? It was because they had so much hubris and they were like, no one's gonna want to just go on this screen that doesn't interact or that doesn't make any sounds. They want the click. Like they want the little click of the little trackpad. And like Jacob Evans and all the draft picks that have followed are the little clicky trackpad. And they're like, no, we don't, the fans don't want to see us put all our assets behind Steph Curry. They want Jordan Poole and all, they want Jordan Bell and they want James Wiseman. Like
Alan
anything.
Smilagic. Alan Smilagic.
Yes, they want 3 second round picks for Alan Smilagic. Like they just so unbelievably misread the market while they were at their peak. And that to me is the moment we should have like known something was fucked up because ever since that moment, like ever since they hit that high, they have just been letting it fall and fall out of their grasp. And that's the comparison that comes to mind for me because it's like the Warriors, we're gonna look back on them and just be like, hey, remember when Blockbuster was like a cultural institution? Or, like when everyone had a BlackBerry or that feels like where this is headed because, once Steph's gone and once the Magic's out, like wow, where's this headed, man?
Joe Lacob is Blockbuster. That's fucking amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's a few moments where it's like there's a few, but for me, I think I just decided on it. I'm going to start with one of the candidates. Marcus Thompson reported in 2017 that Joe Lacob thought about lowballing Steph.
Damn, I forgot about that. That's a good
You
one.
know, that's fucking crazy. And again, Bob Myers, who farts more charisma than Mike Dunleavy or Joe Lacob will ever be able to display in their lives, talked him out of it. Thank fucking God. Uh, But that's crazy. But the moment I think I've settled on, at least where it's like we should have all known something, this is incorrect. This is going in a direction that's probably um we can't turn back now and it's not good. When Joe was publicly saying that they drafted an all-star in pods, and listen, I'm not saying that because I think Gotham knows no no greater hatred than he has for Pajemski. That's not what I'm going at with this. But I think we should have realized that at that point, I truly think they believed if they had a first round pick that that player was going to be an all-star. I think they thought that every guy, and yet we're looking at Pajemski, Wiseman, Kuminga, um, Baldwin. I don't remember if they said anything explicit about it, but like they thought it was a home run pick. He was a five-star high school player, right? Um, I just think that was like, wait a minute, you guys think you actually still have the special dust? And draft wise, unfortunately, nobody in this front office has that. Uh, and you think every player you touch is the next big thing. And if you think every player you draft is the next big thing, why would you ever deviate from drafting? Why would you ever trade first round picks if you thought that every first round pick that you as an owner thumbs up is going to lead to a top 20 player in the league at worst. So there's been signs. There's a many. Gotham, I think the non-pivot's great. And the non-pivot was summer after summer after summer after summer. Uh, but again, when we start thinking that everything we touch turns to gold, when in reality, the one piece of gold you have in this decade is an accidental title that your GM and I mean Steve Kerr's on the coach's ass off always and worked. I think he's had moments of checked outness. That's not what I'm talking about. He does his best, but when your head coach and your GM say things like, "Well, with shit, they surprised us with this run," that's that's not it. So that's mine. I would go with the Joe Lake of lowballing Steph moment, or the pods is going to be an all-star. Which again, I was high on pods going into the year, but the fact that you think everything you touch turns to gold, that's when I think we should have known. Chuck.
God, I completely forgot about the Steph low ball. What
Yeah,
an
same.
insane,
Great pull.
insane moment. Um, I got one more strategy to potentially throw out here for fixing this team. Um, you guys remember how over the last year, every time there's about to be a new batch of Epstein files dropped, Trump would just be like, "Hey, what if we just like sent you guys $2,000 checks or like what?" And he just like panic and do something nice.
Make sure to
Like
buy tomorrow. Buy the stock market.
I know we have a lot of very tech savvy fans of this team. If someone can go in and convincingly deep fake Lacob's name in the files, I think we'll get Giannis. I think we'll get Trey Murphy. I think they'll trade every draft pick. Like we have to create a PR disaster for Joe Lacob that's so bad that his only choice is to just like completely go for it and fix this team. He'll be like, no, no,
If
no, 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 don't look at that. Look at this guy. I got Giannis. Like, please look over here.
That's awesome.
I'm
Those
in.
tweets that people come out where they're like, "Oh, whatever." Like after the Charlie Kirk murders, it was like, "Oh, like everybody's getting arrested and shit, or like censored," and they're like, "Oh, like this GM is the one that like shot Charlie Kirk, blah blah blah." So I'm sorry, like you're trying to get them fired. Like it's that same thing with the Epstein file. So there's a lot of different ways we could get Joe on a on a PR scandal here. I think we can
Joe
just
on distraction watch.
yeah, just like make sure, we got Joe locked in. That's
Hmm.
that.
We know he cares about his ego and his image. So, you
That's not a
throw a
bad
little
plan.
chaos at that image. I'm just saying.
I love it.
It could work. I could see it.
I
It's
love
not
it.
looking good, boys.
It is not, boys. But the one good thing is I think, there's gonna be a lot of moving parts here over the next the end of this season where things stand going into the off season. So we'll be back on the pod a lot more, guys. We're gonna hop off and figure out the schedule. But as always, before we get out of here, man, anything you guys got coming up? Warriors basketball, man. Season's not looking too hot, like you said, Matt. But Chuckster, Matt, what we got cooking?
Well, yeah, like we're back. We're gonna get back on schedule now. We're ready and motivated. If you've listened to this point, you know that we got a lot to say right now. So, um, keep an eye out for that. As always, you can catch me writing things for Swish Theory. I'll also be doing a lot of stuff for Celtics blog for the rest of the season, and on the DraftKings network if that sort of stuff interests you. So check me out. Still rocking with Claytheist forever on Twitter. That's never going anywhere. So you guys know where to find me.
Read Chuck, always read Chuck. He'll get smarter for it. He's an ethical writer and a good dude, and he knows his shit. I've got nothing. I'm really leaning into hate. That's my rest of the year agenda. I'm going to lean into hatred and anger and vitriol to whatever extent my mind will allow it. So, um, if you need a companion in your journey towards injustice as far as the Warriors go, please give me a follow.
Dark side of the force of damnation. I got another guys. I got hacked on Twitter, so one thing I did want to say: don't click on any links. I was stupid enough to do it, and so anybody that received a DM from me regarding voting for some podcast, don't click it. That would be my one shout out. But before we get out of here, guys, next episode.
Gotham, you're in your geriatric era, man. Don't click on any links.
Yeah,
That's his
look,
advice.
you always just laugh at the people. I'm like, there's no way you get hacked, right? Like, are you kidding me? And I got hacked. So, I've fallen victim to it. I empathize a lot more with the people that have gone hacked. So, stay safe out there, guys. Dubs, let's see what we got. And, we'll catch y'all guys on the next episode, man. Peace.